What are your non-negotiables? You know, the things that you're just not prepared to let go. One of the things that can lead to a decline in good mental fitness is becoming isolated. So I think that's a question people need to ask is, hey, who do I have that are there for me? It's a big question. I think it's an important question. And if you don't have those people, then you need to be sort of on the lookout for those people.
How do you have these hard conversations with a man's man? Welcome to Tradies, the podcast where us in trades have a voice to speak about important conversations. Our guest today is Rafael Caso, the program lead of Live Well, Build Well, an initiative dedicated to improving mental fitness in the construction industry. What led you to launch, or what led you to be involved with Live Well, Build Well?
Yeah, thank you so much. Yeah, good, great question. So I can tell you a little story if you like, a little bit of the background.
Excellent.
My background was in site management for the civil infrastructure and in health and safety for residential construction. And that was with GJ Gardner out in the Rodney West area. And a big part of that role is really the relationship that you have with construction workers. You know, really the success of it is forming really good relationships with people. Forming relationships with construction workers or with anyone is all about trust. So a big part of me being able to sort of come in, work with these construction people, guide them with health and safety, guide them with project management for their different activities and tasks, was them having trust in me and having good rapport. So that's where I sort of felt that, you know, that part of it was quite straightforward. I enjoy getting to know people. I'm passionate about people being successful with their small businesses. Contractors are small business owners, yes. A lot of them. And I'm passionate about getting to know them and about the success of their business. So a big part of my role was, having that mindset to get to know people, have mutual respect, and then also, of course, having a nice friendly relationship. So we could work together with health and safety and of course, site project management of the activities that they need to come in to build these amazing homes that are going all around the country. But in the area that I was working mostly in was Rodney West. So as a health and safety manager for the company, a big part of that was attending a lot of talks about good things to be aware of. And in my first few years, I attended many talks about mental health for construction workers, contractors. And the one thing that I noticed that just continued to reappear was, and for me to I heard it so many times, was the continuous message of how construction workers had very bad mental health, and there were they had a lot of unfortunately high rates of suicide and depression, and that really concerned me when I heard that message. And I thought about it for quite some time, because I every few months I'd sort of attend another meeting, and there'd be another presentation to the poor statistics that construction workers faced. And I gave it some thought, and I thought, you know what, I want to be part of some form of solution to that. So what I did, and I did it in a very amateur way, it's quite funny when I think back of it now, I started interviewing experts. I was highly motivated to getting information and education and passing that on to tradespeople in more of a prevention type talk, and so and providing really good education in the form of prevention. So I started doing interviews with online, mostly recorded Zoom interviews, very amateur, with chiropractors, with counsellors, with all the different experts I thought, even financial advisors, because I know that even for a lot of construction workers, for some of them, they're really worried about their finances. So I started interviewing all these experts. I had a very amateur YouTube channel, but long story short, it caught the attention of ACC.
Excellent.
So ACC saw that, and then they reached out to me. They asked me to come on board and be part of take part of a survey. They said they liked the prevention talk. They said they liked the talk to providing good solutions, and then they introduced me to the leadership of Live Well, Build Well. I was introduced to a fantastic gentleman that's my mentor today, called Hugh Norris. And Hugh Norris is he's a well-being expert. He's been consulting to ACC for many, many years and had very high roles in the health sector. And I went and met with Hugh, and Hugh explained, that they were looking for someone to lead a positive mental health program for the construction sector. And long story short, after about 6 or so months, I found myself as the program lead for Live Well, Build Well.
6 months.
After 6 months. But the interesting thing was, when Hugh was explaining the role, he said, look, Raf, the idea is that, at the moment you're interviewing experts and they're giving good advice, and, that's a good way to go about, providing good education and providing good ideas for prevention. But what we're doing with Live Well, Build Well, Raf, we don't really talk too much to, we don't really have experts talking too much. The idea, Raf, is that we have experts already as working as tradies that are out there, that are doing great things to keep themselves resilient, that are doing great things to keep themselves well. We need to find who they are, and we need to champion those individuals. So a big part of what makes Live Well, Build Well unique is that we don't have too many experts telling people what to do. If you could imagine you're a tradesperson and you see someone from the government sector, health sector, or an expert, a chiropractor, someone that's all, looking quite corporate, and they're lecturing to people of how they can live better and prevent illness and keep themselves mentally well. And as a trader, you'd look at that and you think, oh, that sort of just, it could just go over the top of your head. You can you're likely just to sort of ignore that. But if you compare that to seeing a tradesperson that's talking in a very sincere, authentic way, and they're describing the great things that they've done to overcome some big challenges. And the idea is that we have these champions, these people, these individuals in construction that are sharing insights to what they do. Now, as a tradesperson, if I were looking at that, I'd be like, I can relate to that guy straight away.
Exactly.
And they're sharing some amazing insights, and I'm quite motivated to, consider some of the ideas that they're sharing. So that's a big part of how Live Well, Build Well is unique, is that we don't have too many experts telling people what to do. We find individuals within the construction sector that are doing great things, and then we make them the champions.
Share
and then
their
so
story.
what they call is social learning. And I thought, so when that was explained to me, I thought, that's a different approach. I quite like that approach.
More practical approach.
More practical approach. It's
already working.
It's already working.
Yeah.
So just to let you know a little bit of the background of Live Well, Build Well, we are the little brother of a program called Farm Strong.
Okay.
So Farm Strong's a program that runs with the same concept of farmers leading their own solutions for positive mental health, and that program's been running 12 to 13 years, and that's been very successful in reducing the rate of harm to farm workers.
Yeah.
So we're a little brother to that program.
Excellent.
We're hoping to replicate their success, but for the construction sector, by having people that actually do the job involved in their own solutions. So
Yeah.
that's a little bit of background there. And sorry, just one thing more to add. We're a collaboration of ACC. They're behind the program, and also the Mental Health Foundation. So that's the two organisations that are in the background supporting the program. So yeah.
Well, it's good to hear the government supporting in such an important initiative.
Yes.
Especially in the way that you guys are running it. Raf, you sound super passionate about it, and I think passion is one of the main drivers.
Yes.
And you've found a bit of a niche for yourself to continue doing this type of work.
Yeah.
Now, have you personally witnessed or experienced moments where mental health wasn't prioritized in construction?
I haven't been in the construction industry for years and years and years, but I've been in it long enough to understand the pressure that a lot of construction workers face. And, you know, to be honest, there is a big difference in the pressure from commercial construction workers that work, you know, developing and building high rises, and to residential. You know, there's a bit of a change. There's a bit of a change of dynamics and challenges that both of them face. But I guess one of the big things that they do face, you know, is the unpredictability of the industry. It's very unpredictable.
Yeah.
You know, like if you think about the last 5 years, using the last 5 years as an example, you know, there was a pandemic, there were material shortages, there were staff shortages. There's just continuous unpredictable challenges always around the corner, and you can never look to the future and think to yourself, working in the sector, I've got it all mapped out and I know exactly how I'm going to go about things, and if there's this problem I'm going to do that. You just never know what's around the corner. So a big part of what we promote is, you know, not to focus on too much of what you can't control. There's going to be challenges that continuously are around the corner, and at the moment, you may be well aware, but at the moment there's been quite a slowdown in new home builds, which is yet again a different type of stress. Like if you look at the time of the pandemic, just after the lockdowns, the housing market went nuts.
Yeah.
It was very, very busy. And then a couple of years after that, then you know, there was some economic hangover from that period, that COVID period, and then so suddenly all that work just dropped away. So a big part of our thinking is that when we're talking with construction workers, we go, look guys, you're forever going to be challenged.
Yeah.
You're not going to know exactly what's going to come around the corner. We don't know, you know. However, there are things which you can control, and what you can control to make yourself resilient, and most importantly, give yourself good confidence. Because I think the first thing that happens when people become mentally unwell is they lose confidence they have control. And really a big part of our program is trying to support people to think, look, the one thing that you can control are your habits and your activities, and your daily activities and your habits, and your mentality, your health will become an output of those habits and activities that you're doing. You have control of that. So let's, you know, take a step back. You know, if you look at, you know, we're sitting in front of a car and you can see that there's gauges that tell you, hey, you're running out of petrol. Hey, you're driving over the speed limit. Hey, you know, all these different warning signs. And then so a big part of what the program, what we're trying to promote is have some awareness, like check in on yourself. You know, you're a work in progress. Hey, are you feeling really fatigued? You know, you wake up with no energy. You know, you need to look at that. Are you getting your 7 to 8 hours sleep? If not, you know, you really need to get some good sleep. Listen to these builders talking about the things they've done to improve their sleep pattern. You know, we really sort of focus on the fundamentals of good health and well-being. Hey, do you find that you're losing your temper too easily? Are you spending time, with your social circles, or have you become a little bit isolated? You know, because one of the things that people generally do when they start sliding down, they start to become very inward, and they start to isolate. And a big part of what we're trying to promote is be aware of how you're going. Think about the fundamentals of good well-being, you know, connecting with people, having a good social circle, keeping yourself active, learning new things, keep your mind fresh. And in doing so, if you sort of are able to get some 1% improvements in the different activities, the fundamentals of good well-being, then you're investing in yourself. You're investing in yourself. And if you're investing in yourself, at one point you may have a big challenge. You just never know, right? You can't control that, but you're going to be ready for that challenge. And most importantly, you're going to give yourself some confidence that you can navigate that challenge and come out the other side. You can pop back out and quickly bounce back. So we're not telling people that you can avoid pain. We're trying to inspire people to understand that you can do lots of things to really invest in yourself, and through investing in yourself, you're going to be able to navigate your challenges with a lot more confidence So that's a big part of the messaging that we're trying to promote. Yeah, so just to answer your question, sorry if I've sort of gone off on a bit of a tangent.
That's all good, right?
But one of the big problems for a lot of construction workers is the unpredictability of what's going to happen next. We're like, what's going to happen now? Like, there's been a real reduction in work. What's going to happen in the next 2 years? There's going to be something else.
Yeah.
Something else is going to happen. But we'd hope that along the way there's some very positive things happening, like their work's going to pick up. My background mostly is in residential, so I can't talk too much to commercial construction. But when
exact same, just bigger scale.
Bigger scale, yeah. So unpredictability is the biggest culprit for the challenge for construction workers, not knowing what's going to happen around the corner.
Yeah, just on that, I was working light commercial for about 5 to 10 years, and when the recession hit, the residential guys stopped, and then we stopped as well. We went from a workforce of 30 strong down to 6.
Yeah, right.
And I was one of the remaining 6.
Wow.
And then we ended up mowing lawns, cleaning pavements. No one wanted to build.
Yes.
So then another few months, and I left.
Right.
Because I could see something wasn't on.
Yes.
Something was a bit off. So it was time to pack up and
sure thing.
and move on. Like in construction, builders, they're quite hearty. They're hard men, and trying to have these kind of conversations, to try and figure a solution, first you need to admit there's a problem or be vulnerable. How do you have these hard conversations with these, with a man's man?
Yeah, certainly. Well, when I started the program a couple of years ago now, people said to me, a big part of what I had to do was record interviews where I'm interviewing builders and electricians, different trades people, and ask them about how they've overcome some challenges and the great things that they're doing to invest in themselves. And everyone said to me, when I say everyone, lots of people said to me, Raf, you're never going to be able to get them to open up, because actually people, men are quite sort of secretive, and they don't really like sharing that. And I thought, whoa, hang on a second, I'm already dealing with them as a site manager, and I'm already dealing with them in health and safety. And I know a lot of the different types of personalities, and I had a confidence in me that thought, no, there's definitely individuals that are very outspoken. Amongst in a group of tradespeople, you're going to get maybe, let's say 10 tradespeople, right? Tradies. You're going to get one or two of them that are very, very confident in sharing experiences. You're going to get one or two of them that are very passionate about the positive activities that they're doing, the things that they've done. You're going to get one or two of them that are very happy to share a difficult time. And then so I was able to, for myself, I was able to find those people. You find those people that are very passionate, and then you boost, their message to the rest of the construction workers. Yeah, so that was my experience, is that I found the people that were confident, people that were passionate about their health, people that really wanted to share and help their colleagues. And people in the sector. There's definitely individuals like that. So a big part of my journey has been uncovering who they are. And you can generally, where I found a lot of them? Quite funny. I found a lot of them through Instagram. So at first I was using the construction workers that I knew personally. And after a while, I sort of, I quickly used up all those contacts. And I think the construction workers, when they saw me, they were like, "Oh, here's Raf. He's gonna film me. He's gonna ask us if we want to do an interview." So after a while, I became a bit of a pain. I thought, "Oh my God, here's Raf. He wants to understand what we're doing." And they had enough of me. The people I knew immediately, right? And I thought, "Oh gosh, okay, so I'm becoming the guy that they're all avoiding, because I'm always going, oh, come on, man, you've got a story." And then so that got I thought to myself, where am I going to find these individuals that are confident, that are doing great things, and how am I going to interview, find these new people to be able to magnify what they're doing and to boost their message. And then I noticed when I was looking on Instagram, all these tradies, they had a lot of confidence, and I could see that they were very much displaying through little clips all the great things like surfing and their lifestyle. And I thought,
Bang.
Those are the people I'm going to reach out to. So I started reaching out to individuals through Instagram, young people. It was a younger generation. I was dealing with the more one-on-one people. There were guys a bit younger than me. You know, I'm in my 50s, but I was dealing with guys that were in their 30s and 40s. But on Instagram, I met the 20-year-old generation of construction workers. And they were great. And then I'll tell you
Do
something.
20-year-olds know how to build?
Well, they're
just kidding.
they're sort of, you know, interestingly enough, that's a good question, because a lot of them were apprentices. And I think that,
Excellent.
that being able to reach out to apprentices is great, because then if you can get that message to them
Earlier.
at a younger age, then they're going to sort of, you know, I'll tell you something that's really interesting about that is that the younger generation is way more connected to their mental health and are a lot more open to understanding what they need as an individual. And they get a lot of criticism, that generation, but criticism as in, like, what I mean by that is that they're often compared to the generations before them. I'm the X generation, where we're, you know, this, that and the other. But I think that the great thing about the new generation of tradies that are coming out is that they've got a lot more awareness of how they sit with their mental health, and that's great, because then I'm able to really connect with them. And they're very, you know, those Instagrammers. They were when I said, "Hey, would you like to do an interview?" and I'm going to be asking you about interviewing you, asking you questions about the great things that you're doing. They were very keen to be part of that. Yeah. You know,
So
which
you
was
feel
awesome.
the social media culture has almost helped them with their mental fitness?
How social media has helped them is that they understand that for a lot of them that have become quite fine-tuned in social media, they know how to, they have confidence being able to talk, and they have confidence in being able to express themselves. Yeah, that's a good word. And then and it's given them curiosity as to different ways and different approaches. So social media, in one sense, there's a lot of negativity. A lot of people think, oh, geez, people are scrolling all day. I guess the important thing to understand is that there's great things on social media.
Oh, for sure.
So it's really about being able to identify who you listen to, what you spend your time listening, you know, the time that you spend on social media. You've got to make sure that you're spending time listening to helpful ways and people that can really push you forward. So I think that's a big thing. So sorry, I'm jumping around a little bit.
No, it's
but,
good. It's
but,
good, Raf.
but yeah, I guess to answer your question, where I found a lot of people to begin with, it was through the contacts that I already had. After a while, I found they were shying away. They'd had enough of me, and then I started finding people through social media. And most importantly, this is a big one. I'd been very luckily, and I'm very grateful for this. ITM,
Wow.
they're behind the program, and they put me. What they do on a yearly basis is that they have an LBP training days, licensed
Building practitioner.
building practitioner training days. So right throughout the whole country, Auckland, Wellington, Christchurch, they put on a very large training event where hundreds of tradies come.
Excellent.
And they made me, I had the opportunity to present at every one of these training events. So I got in front of hundreds, if not thousands of tradies. And then once I explained to all the builders that were there for the day, they came in, they sort of rolled their eyes, they, oh my God, we're going to listen to another mental health thing. But once they understood, oh no, it's a positive mental health, then I had a lot of individuals that would come forward and they'll go, hey, I'll do an interview. Hey, look, each morning I do yoga stretches. Let's talk about, I'm happy to talk about that. Hey, Raf, I wake up and I do breathing exercises. I plan my lunch the night before. That means when I wake up, I know exactly what I'm going to eat. I don't have to worry about, eating on the run. I'm less likely to. But I guess what I'm trying to say is that once I started getting out there, I made some really good contacts, and people would come forward. They wanted to be interviewed, which was fantastic.
No, that's great, Raf. Different industries provide different problems, and I guess with building, what are the biggest mental health challenges that the construction industry faces compared to regular 9-to-5ers?
Yeah, good question.
Because they're so different, eh?
Yeah, they are. I think that for some of them, they
What about those long hours?
yeah, it's a long hours, but also for a lot of them, they don't have the same 9 to 5 stability, or they're not salaried workers that can do as much work in a week or as little work. They for a lot of them, they're just getting paid for their time.
Charge up.
Yeah, and if there's a lack of good management on site, materials not ready for them when they arrive, they have to come back the following day. They've missed that day of work,
Yeah.
and they're furious, So I've seen it lots of times. And if there's, in group home building, that's all I can really talk to. Sometimes there's a gap from finishing one house to when a new house starts.
Yes.
And then I overhear sometimes people saying, the construction workers, oh geez, I've got nothing on for the next 2 to 3 weeks, and I need the flow,
Yeah.
the money. I need the money to come through, and then so they start considering doing decks and small jobs in between. But I think the big sort of stress that I have been aware of, and from time to time I observe, is the stress of cash flow. It's the stress
Yeah.
of retaining talented staff, because
Yeah.
some of those guys move around a bit, and then
Especially off to Aussie.
yeah, that's it. So that's a big deal. The most beautiful thing about the construction industry, because I've worked in a few different sectors, there's a lot of loyalty to people. Big time. And if you're a construction worker, if you work for someone, if you're a talented tradesperson, and if you're a good people person and you're a good team player, that company will want to hold on to you.
Well, they should want to hold on to
Yeah,
you.
that's it. So there's a lot of loyalty to construction workers. I've been
Kiwi builders are some of the best in the world.
that's it. And then the other thing is that you get some of these firms, they have multi-generations of the same family working for them. You'll get like granddad that's like doing deliveries. You'll get dad that's like working as a builder for the same organisation, and then you'll get his son as an apprentice.
Yep.
So like you get some organisations, they are passionate about family. They're passionate about retaining talented, loyal staff. So I think that's really that to me really stood out. So I've worked in different sectors, and you don't get that same loyalty.
Nah.
Things are tough. They'll just do a big cut. People are gone, and there's no sort of commitment to anything. So, going back to those big challenges. Sorry, I sort of strayed off. But the big challenges, I guess, is at the moment is volume of work.
Volume of work.
Yeah.
And I'll just interrupt you there. Just for our listeners, charge up as opposed to contract for builders. On a contract, you just like a 9 to 5 job, you get paid for your working week. If you don't turn up tomorrow, you're sick, you still get paid for that. As opposed to charge up, which I was working when I was in construction, and a lot of other guys, if you don't turn up to work, you don't get paid. So you get paid an hourly rate. If I'm sick tomorrow, I don't get paid for my hours tomorrow because I didn't do any. Okay, so that's what we mean when we talk about consistency in your work hours. On contract, you're going to get paid like a 9 to 5. Charge up, a lot of builders are on charge up, I'd say 20 to 30%. If they don't work, they don't get paid. You get sick or injured and ACC doesn't cover, or you don't get a doctor's certificate, it's very likely you won't be getting paid for those days you take off. We've faced a challenging last 5 years. How did COVID and the lockdowns affect volume of work or just mental health in the construction industry? Positively, negatively? How did the lockdowns
I think that looking back at that time, through my experience, the work tripled. Once we came out of those lockdowns, I think the interest rate for home buyers was something like 2%, and the number of new homes being built, it went off the Richter scale. It just went nuts. So it was a time where there was an abundance of projects. So in one sense, it was very, very positive and a very good thing. Because when you've got plenty of work, you're going to get paid. You've got good cash flow and so forth. But the challenges that arose from that very busy period was that there was running in parallel was the material shortages. So then there was problems with getting timber and the different materials. transported across from overseas. And so that would mean that as a contractor, you're on site, your materials may be delayed,
Yeah.
which would go back to that problem.
Cost twice as much.
Or cost twice as much.
Just because of COVID and trying to ship it over here.
That's
apparently
right.
couldn't get it here, right?
That's right. So then, of course, we had that problem with work being disrupted and not having, if you look at your timeline, you may be able to, you had to wait until materials became available, which would mean there may be some times where there wasn't some work. So that created some problems, but they're not, the problems weren't too big. The big sort of challenge throughout that time was, when I look back on it, was there was a bit of a shortage of workers. And with what that would mean is that a lot of contractors are under a lot of pressure to meet deadlines, and if they didn't have enough workers, it would mean that they're going to hold the whole process up of that build. And then so I could see for a lot of them, if you had one of their workers was sick, had to stay home and isolate, then you would be a couple of people short for a particular job, and that would put all that pressure on the people that were there. They would be like, oh gosh, I've got to do the work of 2 to 3 people that are at home isolating, and that was dangerous. That was dangerous mentally and also physically, because for a lot of them, they had to go gangbusters and they burnt themselves out. And then you had to really try to support them as well as you could from the role that I had in health and safety, and say, hey, look, put your hand up if I'll see what I can do to support you. And I know there was a couple of businesses that were down on staff members that weren't turning up and sick, and I actually jumped on the phone and I tried to just get some labour, help them get some labour for the day, to keep things running smoothly, and to help the guys out. They were under a lot of pressure to work for the people that they had to replace that were at home isolating. So there was a big problem at that time, a lot of people away, and so forth. What else can I say? I think the construction sector was lucky in that it was one of the sectors that was able to work through a lot of those lockdowns. But then of course you had all those problems with isolating and distancing and a lot of things. It was all fine. It was manageable. We all got through it. And now we're at a different sort of period with different challenges. So,
Well, you spoke about burnout, so I just want to elaborate on that a little bit. When I was working full time, we were doing 10-hour days. We'll do a half day on Saturday, and the work it's tough work. We're outside, sometimes in the rain. We're indoors in the heat. We're lifting. We're always on our feet, moving around. Have you seen burnout to be a contributing factor to deteriorating mental health?
burnout. Yeah, look, absolutely. A big part of my role when I was doing the site management, mostly in the civil, things like earthworks, the under slab plumbing. I was sort of managing all that type work.
Oof, all the fun stuff.
Yeah, all the stuff that goes in the ground, essentially. I could immediately pick up on the vibe of a site when I would arrive, and I'd notice that individuals that were normally very outgoing would be very quiet, and I'd notice that the mood was very low because people were going from one job to the next, and there was no real gap, and they were burning out. They were quietly sort of feeling the strain of having a lot of that pressure. And I think the way in which I could help the most really was first of all acknowledging that they were under this pressure. And what I mean by acknowledging, say, hey, you guys, I can see that you're under quite a bit of pressure. And so I think they appreciated that it was acknowledged. And this is not really talking about mental health or anything. This is more going back to the role of health and safety and site management. I'd make a conscious effort to sort of put on a barbecue from time to time for the guys, because I would see the guys, and sometimes they'd be knee deep in, especially the guys that are doing work that's uncovered, like doing the drains and everything. They'd be knee deep in mud, and I could see that the mood was really low, but they were under pressure to continue on. And I'd say, look, next Wednesday I'll come through, I'll bring a barbecue, little mini barbecue, we'll have a barbecue on site, let's put aside 30 minutes for that. And I think that those little initiatives, like while they were quite simple, and then you'd spend a little bit of money on getting some burger buns, some chicken fillets, some beef patties, beef patties and different condiments and all that. I think the guys really appreciated that, and then they would talk about it afterwards, and I think, that it's quite a simple thing to do, but it would make the guys feel effective. Yeah, that's right. So I think that with being overwhelmed, being fatigued, I think that you can change that by acknowledging it, that it's going on, and then having making sure that you're showing your appreciation to the team, that hey, you're under this pressure, we really appreciate it, and hey, let's get together, have some, have a lunch together, and let's have a chat and everything like that. So I think that when I did observe a lot of that type of that happening on site, I was sort of alert to it, and I would sort of always try to make sure that I would go back and talk to the guys and do something special for them, so they felt appreciation. And then when they feel appreciation and that their work's been acknowledged, I think that sort of would help them through a lot of that fatigue. So I think that was a big one. And I think any organisation that can support their people by showing their appreciation, asking them how they're going, really supporting them where they can, that will not go unnoticed. The workers will notice that, and then that will help them to feel appreciated. And I think that will drive people through a lot of that thinking.
How did management feel about you helping out with throwing a barbecue and being a bit more involved?
Well, in the industry that I'm in, that with group home building, a big focus is on the relationship with the contractors. These are guys that are not staff members. They're free agents.
I see.
So they could go and work for anyone. So it was always, if doing anything to do with site management and health and safety, dealing with these contractors, these small businesses, any form of showing goodwill or appreciation was viewed very positively. So if management, if I would go back to them and say, look, I put on a barbecue for the guys, they'd go, that's great, because it's building the relationship. These guys are going to be loyal to doing work for us, because as I sort of mentioned before, the sector is super dependent in retaining talented, trustworthy, reliable workers, and once they find them, they want to hang on to them. So anything that was above and beyond what we had to do was perceived very positively, because it went to reinforce that very strong relationship. So management was really keen on doing that, and they would even have a part of their budget that was available to putting those lunches and barbecues on. So
awesome. And I think they do the same in the bigger, I think they do it a bit more often in the bigger companies. They got a bit more of a budget, but I guess with the bigger companies you lose a little bit of personability, like that one-on-one feel. I've worked both in a smaller company and a larger company. I used to work at a gym, Ludus Magnus, and we were employed to go on site for the bigger companies and run a little warm-up in the mornings for them, just to cue them up on some stretches, some movements, and it was through ACC. And I think ACC's chain of thought was, too many guys are getting injured on the building site. What aren't they doing? They're not warming up, they're just waking up straight out of bed, eating whatever, having a coffee, going straight to work, not doing any mobility, anything at all. They're bending over to pick something up, or they're swinging a sledgehammer when their body's cold, and they're getting injured. So the initiative, we would go onto the building site, and initially no one was really keen to join in, but after a few sessions, and after, like you say, we championed a few of the members who were already coming through to our gym, they saw them moving and getting involved, and everyone started following on. And I guess it's acknowledging the problem first, and then providing those small steps to a solution, like you were mentioning, Raf.
Yeah, nice. Yeah, great. What a great initiative that was. Yeah, an important one.
And just on that, I actually checked your website, and one of my mates, Richie, was on there giving a small testimony of how what he does to stay mentally fit and physically fit. He kind of aligns them both together. He joins a 5 a.m. group over the shore. They call it, with a couple of my mates, Te Kohe, Biola, sorry boys, I don't know, to throw you in there, and they call themselves the dad bods of North Shore. They get up and train at 5 a.m.
Yes.
And you know, just helps with mental fitness, physical fitness as well.
Yes.
And just something outside of work, a bit of mahi with the boys,
Yes.
bit of conversation, camaraderie.
Yes.
And they love it. And I when I catch up with them,
Yes.
they're always talking about it. They got their own T-shirts printed. You know,
That's
it
awesome.
kind of makes me want to get in. I don't live over the shore, but
Yeah.
kind of makes me want to drive over and join in a session with them.
No, no.
You know?
Well, Richie's he's the perfect example of a person that had some great insights to share when it comes to keeping resilient. And the most important thing that came out of me when I did that interview was that he had a support group. You know, like, you know, I think the most important thing that an individual can have to protect themselves, to give themselves good mental fitness, strength, is to have people that are around you, a support network, people that are good listeners, people that are motivating each other, people that are on the same page with each other. And if you're lucky enough to have that, then your journey of making good improvements with your mental fitness is going to be a lot easier. And then when Richie explained that he woke up really early, I think he said he woke up at about 4 a.m. I thought, oh my gosh, that's when I'm getting my REM sleep, right? I'm up a couple of hours after that. And then he went on to explain that they would meet up at the gym and they'll go through these exercises and then they'd catch them. Exactly what you were explaining. I thought, man, that's tremendous. And I think that for a lot of guys, a lot of construction workers, that would be a very big improvement that they could make, you know, is to, because you're doing multiple things. You know, Richie's doing, and his friends, these multiple areas that they're making massive improvements in when it comes to good well-being. One of them being keeping very sociable.
Yes.
I'm sure you would agree with me. There's nothing more that will give you more of a boost than catching up with your friends, having a good laugh to your mental health. That gives you a very big boost to your mood and to the way that you're sort of relating with everything going on, right? So he's got that. Secondly, the exercise itself. Now, could you imagine if you're training, you know, 3 or 4 times a week, or as often as what Richie and his friends were doing? Then, you know, that makes a massive improvement to your physical health. So they've got the social side, tick. They've got all the activities. They're moving. They're strengthening their body, tick. And then the other thing that was really cool was that Richie was saying that each of them are available to each other anytime during the day, where they can sort of check in and see how they were going. If anyone wasn't going to show up, you go, hey, you missed today, what's going on? And, you know, I think that anyone that's listening to this podcast, you'd have to think to yourself, you know, who do I have as my support network? You know, who's listening to me? Who's supporting me?
Who will message back? Who will answer my phone call?
That's it. It's an important question you need to ask yourself. You know, who with the program we have a professor. His name's Professor Grant Schofield, and one of his messages is he asks for people to bring some awareness to good mental fitness. Is who is your 3 a.m. person? Who do you have theoretically that you could phone at 3 a.m. With something that's really troubling you, that's going to listen? And like, chances are you're never going to do that. But the idea is
safe than sorry, bro.
That's it. The idea is that you have someone, you know that you have these people that you can count on. So I think that's a question people need to ask is, hey, who do I have that, you know, if I was going through a really difficult time, that are there for me? And then of course, who are the people that I can that are around me, that can motivate me, help me, we can guide each other, support each other. It's a big question. And then I think it's an important question. And if you don't have those people, then you need to be sort of on the lookout for those people. Definitely. And then I think we spoke a little bit earlier, like potentially there's a lot of these micro type fitness groups, you know, and maybe if you would like to, as an individual construction worker, you know, you have become a little bit isolated, you have sort of lost a few contacts. Maybe you can sort of be research to what's around you. There could be some gym that you could participate in, especially those gyms where they're working together.
Yes.
You know, you get a lot of those gyms where they're just like lifting weights and they sort of quite you go there as an individual, but then over the I guess the last 10 to 15 years, there's a lot more of those gyms where everyone's training together, isn't there? Maybe that like the
group fitness classes.
That's it, the group fitness classes. Maybe that could be a good idea for someone that wants to expand their social circle to sort of find where one is and take part.
Big
you
time.
know, it may mean getting up a bit earlier though. Yeah.
Yeah.
3 a.m. 3 a.m.
No. like you, I'm a big believer in recovery and sleep.
Yes.
You know,
yes.
and but I've been getting up just before 5 a.m.
Yeah.
Just after.
Yeah.
And I guess it helps with the right food you're eating it
Yes.
throughout the day has been helping me get up earlier. If I have rubbish food the day before or in
Yes.
the evening, I wake up a bit later. If I eat well
Yes.
in the evening or the day before,
Yeah,
I've been getting
nice.
up at 5 a.m. I can't stop it. I just wake
Yes.
up at 5 a.m. You know, but like on those micro groups around,
Yes.
I think we spoke of Kiwi Daddies group, which
Yes.
is there'll be thousands of construction workers
Yeah.
in that group. There's micro groups, Auckland Kiwi Daddies.
Yeah.
There's you mentioned trying to collaborate with F45 gyms around Auckland and
Yes.
around New Zealand, just
Yes.
because it's a franchise with small pockets of
That's it.
like-minded people
That's right.
who want to get up, do a little bit of training,
Yes.
and even boxing gyms,
Yeah.
kickboxing gyms,
Yeah.
grappling gyms, rugby league, tennis.
Yeah.
All of that is camaraderie. It's all
That's it.
like-minded people. It's all
Great.
getting your body moving.
That's right.
And the main aspect is that social element, like
That's
you,
it.
like
That's
you
it.
say.
Well, you know, one of the things that can happen that can lead to a decline in good mental fitness is becoming isolated. You know, and then becoming, especially for young men and for men that are fathers and running small businesses, is that they're not investing in themselves. You know, they're putting time into their business, they're putting time into their family, they're putting time into everything, all their responsibilities, and that's fantastic because that's part of being a father, that's part of being a dad, that's part of being a good partner. But then the important thing, and it's that old saying, you know, I remember it even from when I was a kid, is about making sure that your cup's full before you give to others. And I think that's something that's
I like
overlooked. You know, that you got to fill your own cup first. And in doing so, you know, if you're feeling good yourself, if you've got some good activities that are keeping you well, if you've got like a good support network around you, if you're planning your week in advance and you know exactly what your priorities are for the week, you're not waking up each day and winging it. You know, if you've planned in these social activities that you know that you're going to turn up to and you're going to catch up with your mates, you're locking them in, you're planning, you're locking. That's such a big part of our message, is having a very good plan for your day. Have a very good plan for your week, and in doing so, you can get rid of clutter. Because one of the things that can really bog people down is not knowing what they've got to do. So they do everything, and then they're just chasing everything. But if you've got a good plan, and if you've got a really good plan for yourself, and you can really prioritize your work activities, your social activities, and so forth, then I guess the idea is that invest in yourself. And our motto is, if I live well, build well, is be your best self.
Be your best self.
Yes.
Be your
I've got a
best self,
T-shirt that's
Arno.
just been made, and it's on the back. I was hoping that it would arrive yesterday so I could wear it today. But it's coming up from Wellington. I'm in Auckland, so they're going to ship it up. And they said it would be ready last night, but didn't quite receive. But anyway, so the idea is that in investing in yourself, being the best that you can, then that's the ripple effect of that is going to go across everyone that you have a relationship with. You're going to be a good dad. You're going to have good attention and time for your children. You're going to have energy for your kids, right? You're going to be a good partner. You're going to be a good work colleague. You're going to make good decisions. That's a big part of good mental fitness, is that generally when you're sort of not investing in yourself and you're overwhelmed and you're tired and you're sort of a little bit on the decline, then you make poor decisions and worst off, you procrastinate.
Yes.
Where you can't even make a decision. So what?
Yeah.
And then sometimes that leads to bigger problems because you're not making a decision. And when you do make a decision, it's because you've been forced to, and then a lot of the time it's a poor decision. So what we're really saying is in investing in yourself, but being very disciplined about investing in yourself. And what I mean by disciplined is that, you know, it's something that you become passionate towards improving for yourself. And then if you look at yourself as the person that's running your own business, your health has to be number one.
Yes.
And in invest in yourself, you're filling your cup, and then the positive outcome of that's going to the ripple effect of that's going to is going to be of massive benefit to everyone you're relating to. So I think that's a big part. I think it's the most important part of our message is, really look to how you can improve your own life, fine-tune your routine, introduce really good activities, plan your time, your 24 hours.
Yep.
What can you control? What can you control? Can you control material shortages? No. Can you control a decline in work? And no, you can't. But you can't control that. But the thing that you do have control of is your 24 hours. You have control of your time. You can control the activities that you're doing that can make big improvements. And really, that's a big part of our message is, look at your 24 hours, look at your 7 days, and then of course your month, and then of course your year, and then planning these great things to invest in yourself, and then you're going to be able to sort of draw from that. Everyone around you is going to benefit, and most importantly, your business is going to thrive. And you're going to make good business decisions. And you're going to be safer, most importantly. You're going to make safe decisions. You're going to make good decisions. You're going to have good confidence. You're going to be able to, as I mentioned before, navigate through these difficult times with a lot more confidence. And I think that's the most important thing that we're trying to promote. It's positive mental health, and a big part of that is looking at your day and then sort of ensuring that you've got these great things that support you that are in there. Don't look at them as a luxury, that you'll do it as a reward, or do it as if you have the time. You've got to go, no, I'm definitely going to go to the gym at 5 in the morning or what have you. I spoke to someone in construction a little while ago, and then he spoke about, it was such a great term, what are your non-negotiables? The things that you're just not prepared to let go. And with this guy that I spoke to, actually it was Andy from Yarns with Andy, a fellow podcaster. And then I interviewed him. I thought, hey, you did a podcast with me. I'm going to do a podcast with you, man. And then Andy, his biggest message out of when I spoke to him, he said, man, Raf, I have non-negotiables to protect myself. And he said, my non-negotiables is that I'm going to spend an hour and a half with my kids every day, 100%. No one's going to talk me out of that. I don't care how busy I am. The whole world's going to wait for me until, and then after I've spent my hour and a half with my kids, okay, then I'm ready for something else,
Excellent.
And I thought that's great. He's really had created boundaries for himself. The other thing, of course, was the fitness element, and he had a number of other of non-negotiables. So I think anyone listening into this podcast, you got to think to yourself, what are your boundaries when it comes to your time? When it comes to the activities that you're doing, what are the things you're not prepared to let go of, because that they're really supporting you, and you've got to be very hold tight to what they are, and then create those boundaries, and then and in doing so, you're going to be on the right path to having good resilience, good mental fitness. Is that you have the activities that you've really locked in for yourself to keep yourself well.
I love your views on self-investment. I love it.
Self-investment. That's it.
A lot of people, well, especially in our industry, and as men, as providers, and as servicemen, we like to be as servicemen to our families, to our friends, and quite selfless as people.
Yes.
And as construction workers, we're used to making a mess, cleaning up, building this.
Yes.
A lot of people will think that it's selfish to put yourself first. But just what I'm hearing in your conversation, it's you have to, like you say, what was it? Fill your cup first before you provide to others.
Yeah, that's right.
So you broke that down really well, Raf. That was awesome.
Yeah.
And just on self-investment, you mentioned a few things already. Just on a basic level, what do a few of those steps look like? You already spoke about a little bit a little bit of activity, a little bit of movement, a little bit of spending time with your loved ones, your non-negotiable with your kids. Do you have any other key points we can check out there?
I guess I can only speak for myself, you know what I mean? Because every individual has a unique requirements, So for each person, they got to think about what is it that I need.
You spoke about REM sleep.
Yeah, that's it. That's it. But what I'm doing for myself, and because with this type of role, I start questioning, Raf, what are you doing, mate, to look after yourself? Here I am sort of promoting it, but then I sort of think, well, what am I doing? So I can speak on behalf of myself for the things that I'm doing. So I think one of the things that really helps me, and it's something that I've been doing for a while now, and I did it even before leading this program, right, was micro learning.
Awesome.
And what micro learning is, it clearly it means little learning, but I sort of thought to myself, and it's quite funny because it came right through the time that when we were having lockdowns, we were stuck at home. I thought to myself, I really wanted to spend that time very proactively and productively. So then I thought about all the things that I hadn't learnt that I wanted to learn, and one of the big things for me was learning my father's native language, which was Spanish. Yeah, and I thought, geez, I've spent my whole life. I'm in my I was 50, in my early 50s at that time. I was still around that age, and I thought I've never learned how to speak my dad's language. Because I've lived in New Zealand practically my whole life. So what I started doing is, you'll think it's quite funny because it's sort of well known, but I got a subscription rather, with Duolingo.
Excellent.
Duolingo, which is the app that helps you learn a new language. And then I just started doing what I call micro learning. So then I'd spend 20 minutes a day doing exercises, and that really helped me. And how it helped me was that, first of all, I'm learning a second language, which is great. Being bilingual is a great benefit in many ways, right? But more importantly, what micro learning, how it supports me, is that when I have time where I'm not really thinking about anything, sometimes when you have spare time, right? Or time alone, or time in the evening when you're watching TV, a lot of the time, a lot of negativity can creep in, especially if you're watching the news, especially if you're sort of listening to what's going on around the world. There's a lot of negative things going on, especially over the last 5 years, wars and what have you. What I liked about micro learning was that it can swap out your thought pattern. And what I mean by that is that when you're sort of spending a lot of time alone, a lot of those negative thoughts can sort of creep in. I felt a lot of that time when you micro learn something, you start thinking about the new words, like for learning a new language. I started thinking of the things I'd learnt that day, and then the new words that I learnt, the new grammar formation, and then I realised that through micro learning, you're actually swapping out, in your times where you're alone, a lot of negative thinking for very productive thinking. And you can almost, because that time alone can be a time where you can let a lot of negativity just flow right through, depending on what you're spending time watching, right? But if you're focusing on learning, a lot of that learning starts to come through in the time that you have alone, which is a massive, for me, it was a massive benefit. So I started learning.
Shift, that's awesome.
Yeah. So I started learning a bit of Spanish. At the moment, I'm doing a bit of micro learning. You must think, oh man, what a nerd.
No
but
way.
But I've started becoming quite fascinated about astronomy and about the solar system.
Nice.
I don't know why I started thinking about that. But anyway, each day I spend 10, 15 minutes just looking up about the different things about the planets and the solar system and all that. But I guess ultimately what I'm saying, I'm not gonna bore you with a lot of that. But I guess what I'm trying to say is that what's helped me the most is by having some curiosity into some areas that I'd like to research and do a bit of my own research into and my own learning, and in doing so, it's swapping out a lot of stale thinking, and it's introducing a lot of fresh thinking. And a lot of that fresh thinking through micro learning can be very positive, depending on what you're passionate about. I remember being at a ITM LPP training day, and I spoke about self-learning and about fulfilling a lot of hobbies that you're passionate about. And I had this builder that got up, and then he said that the way in which he chills out was through a creative outlet, similar to what I was describing. And then on his phone, on the weekends, he did wood carvings. And then he started showing everyone at this presentation all the wood carvings that he's done over the years. And, if you're spending that free time that you have doing the things you love, it's gonna it's going to flood your thinking with some very positive, creative thinking. It's going to give you, it's really going to become your dominant thought pattern. And you can swap out a lot of the things that are troubling you with a creative thought process. It can give you an abundance of positive thinking. So what I would like to encourage anyone listening in today is to really think about the things that you've always wanted to do, regardless of what that is. Like for me, it was learning language and other areas, but think about what is it you've always wanted to do, and then think about how you can learn it, but break down that learning, to make it easy. Like if you can learn something for 15 minutes a day, 20 minutes a day, what would that be? I know there's some things that you practically got to do, like another thing that I've always wanted to do. I haven't quite got my head around it, how I'm going to do it. I've always wanted to learn how to sail, because I've often been at the waterfront and I'm seeing all these new Aucklanders sailing in their boats, and I thought, geez, I'd love to be able to do that. So that's something that I've got a plan to do. I'd learn to love to sail. But what I'm encouraging people to consider is understand what it is that you've always wanted to do, and find the time to fit it in. And even if it's 15 minutes a day, 20 minutes a day, you'll absolutely 100% notice that it boosts a lot of your thinking, and it can eliminate a lot of stale thinking that's not useful. Hearing about what Donald Trump's up to day by day, that's not useful. Listening into American politics about tariffs, and that's not useful thinking. But for some reason, it becomes a big part. When you're watching the news and you're on social media.
Investing
oh
in
my gosh,
foreign affairs that don't
it.
concern you.
That's it, man. Really try to get rid of that and swap it with something that you're passionate about, and then you'll find that your whole, you can really boost the thinking that you have. You can eliminate
mindset.
with stale thinking, man. It's
Exactly.
stale thinking. I don't care what Donald Trump's up to each day. I don't want to. But anyway, so that's what's worked for me personally is micro learning.
Excellent.
And then I've become very disciplined. And what I mean by that is I'm tracking Duolingo, and I've got a 200-day streak. I haven't missed.
Amazing.
I haven't
15 minutes a day.
50, I do two or three
pretty good.
exercises a day, and then
So that's your non-negotiable.
that's my
That's one of
non-negotiable.
them.
That's right. And my ultimate goal, I always say to my son, I've got an 18-year-old son, is that one day we're going to be in Spain or Mexico on the beach with the Corona, and we're going to be able to speak Spanish fluently with the locals, and then that's the goal.
Excellent. I love it. I think that's everyone's goal.
Regardless of speaking Spanish. So, we're on a nice tropical beach, speaking with the locals in fluent Spanish. So I won't ramble, but just elaborating on that a little bit further when it comes to setting goals. What a lot of the important thing when it comes to setting goals for yourself is not the goal itself, not the final goal. It's the small activities that you're doing day to day to reach that.
It's the journey.
It's the journey there. That's the essence of making very positive change for yourself. Is the system that you put in place to learn it, and the day-to-day activities that you're doing to reach that goal. Don't focus on the goal, because then sometimes you can be disappointed. I didn't reach my goal.
Yep.
And you go, no. Okay, the goal maybe not quite there yet. In my case,
What steps can I take?
it's focusing on those day-to-day activities to get yourself there. That's the most important part.
So just coming back to, I know you work with self-employed guys a little bit more.
Yes.
But do you think there should be mental health requirements for construction workplaces?
Yeah, look, I think that absolutely. You're going to get big organisations, the big commercial organisations that have a lot of support within their organisation, like what they call EAP, Employment Assistance Programs, and they're going to have different programs that are available to support counselling, support and so forth. And I think that those larger organisations, if they can provide that, then that's fantastic. You're really going to show your commitment to people's health and their well-being and their mental health, which is an important part of retaining that talent and keeping your people well and safe. I think that has to be a commitment that comes from these large organisations. Now, I do, as I mentioned, we're dealing with a lot of, myself, we deal with a lot of smaller organisations where they're 2 to 3 man businesses, and the wife's doing the accounts. And so really what support are they getting? They don't have an EAP an employment assistance program that's going to come in, provide them counselling and so forth. So a big part of what we're trying to promote is the Live Well, Build Well program being a catalyst to create a community for these smaller businesses.
Excellent.
So, and what I mean by that is that for these smaller businesses that don't really have resources to support them, we want to be their support. And this is the important thing. We're not going to tell people what to do. We're going to find champions throughout the sector. This is our vision. People that are already doing the work, that are already boots on ground, they're at these sites. We want to connect with them and empower them and educate them and work with them to spread our message. So that's a way in which we're hoping to reach a lot of those smaller businesses that don't have the resources that a lot of the large commercial companies do, which is the different counselling services, the EAP, and different things that they have access. They can connect to very easily. So, Live Well, Build Well. Our vision is to create a community of tradies and builders, and to be honest, everyone throughout the construction sector. You know, from the guys in the office right through to the guys digging the trenches for the plumbing, under slab plumbing, everyone, and have a culture of people championing their own health and to inspire each other and to learn from each other. Now, we've created a very vast network of digital resources that are readily available right now. YouTube, you see the guys talking, you may have seen Richie on YouTube, the guy we were speaking about earlier, great guy. And so the idea is that through the program that we're running, we create a free digital resource through the form of videos, which are available now. Live Well, Build Well, Instagram. Maybe we can put it on a link somewhere. So the idea is that for a lot of these small organizations that don't have the larger resources available, that we're going to make a digital resource that's readily available right now free. And to add to that, we've partnered with the amazing construction health and safety organisation SiteSafe, right? They're the number one organisation for educating people on site with health and safety related. So we've partnered with them. We're providing a free mental fitness program to the construction sector where we have Professor Grant Schofield. He's our professor and he's talking through the fundamentals of what good mental fitness looks like. And it's going to get people, it's going to sort of give them an introduction to positive mental health, because it's quite a new sort of concept for a lot of people looking at mental health. That's normally when you think about mental health, the first thing you think of is depression and suicide problems, right? But really the reason why we use that word mental and we use that word fitness is that people immediately think, oh, it's a strengths-based approach. Strengths-based. If you think of fitness, it's something you can improve on, something that if you work on, you get stronger. If you think about physical fitness, you know, you didn't wake up muscular, you know, with great arms and, you know, everything. You know, you've had to work for that. And so what we're saying to, you know, the industry and to people that want to be involved is, hey, your mental health is something that can be, yes, it can be something that's challenging, but on the flip side to that, it can be very positive and you can make yourself fit, mentally fit. And then so we're going to be providing this free introduction course through the SiteSafe platform. I'll sort of keep you all posted to when that becomes available. And the idea is that we start creating a community throughout New Zealand, and maybe Australia, because we get a lot of Australians jumping in and contributing, because, you know, through social media, it's got a wide reach. And then it becomes a industry solution by the workers themselves. So if you could think of that type of approach, it's quite a different sort of way of looking at something. So rather than having like all these organizations that are like providing all this, you know, support and, oh, you need to, it's really going out to the industry and getting individuals to really provide good solutions for their colleagues. You know, it's quite a different approach. And I think that my hope and my vision and our vision for the Live Well, Build Well program is that in time this community becomes really rock solid. And then you get like all these amazing individuals that are really very powerful in the way they communicate, and that the people that they have good, their networks are listening in, and they're all learning from each other. And then so rather than sort of having the responsibility on organisations to sort of help you when you're not well, you're making yourself responsible for your own solutions through creating a really supportive like we said before, that you know, Richie's group of guys, you know, who are the guys that are helping Richie the most with his mental health? Is it like a government? Is it like a government counsellor?
No way.
No, it's the people that
That's it.
that are in his that are in his network that are supporting him, and we want to create that in a very large scale. So so and it's going to take some time. But then, if you could imagine, if you're surrounded by those individuals, you know, using Richie as an example, that are there for you, checking in on you, motivating you. You know, they've got a common sort of a goal as you. They're day to day. They're sort of doing the same activities as you. Then you're sort of having a bad day. You can have a chat with them. People that you can communicate with. Could you imagine if everyone had a group like that, or even just one or two individuals? That'd make a massive improvement in the way things are. So to answer your question, we're not. When it comes to sort of creating resources, and when it comes to companies having programs in for mental health support, that's super important. And if you're a big organisation, that's one of your responsibilities. But if you take a step backwards, not backwards, but if you take a step back and then you look at the sector as a whole, really the only people that can make good change for themselves is the individual. However, if you've got like a really supportive network around you, and you're all supporting each other through sharing really good ideas and by sort of checking on each other, and then you connect to that, and you connect to it through listening in and taking part, and you know, maybe joining in, you know, like one of those fitness groups, whatever it is, you know, I think that's going to be it's going to have far greater success. You know, because then you go back to what we were discussing earlier, and that's about investing in yourself, and then having a good support network around you. So that's the vision, you know, is to connect to champions, and have them. Because we're only 2 years in. We're only 2 years into this program.
So imagine 5 years.
Yeah, 5 years. Then, you know, maybe we've got like all those people right throughout the country that are providing a support to each other. Everyone's sort of helping out.
Like
so
championing the individuals that are already in the industry, your own peers. So it's almost like mental health for builders, by builders.
Yes,
like that.
That's it. For builders, by builders.
Excellent.
That's exactly it. What can I ask you, just to sort of jump in there? And I'm not too sure how much time we've got left. How do you invest in yourself?
Excellent question.
You know, what are you doing? What are your non-negotiables, right?
Yeah, I got a few of them made. So this morning had a cold shower.
Yeah. So you do that daily?
Do that daily.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that just obviously it helps wake you up.
Yeah. Nice.
Keeps me a bit more healthier to fight off infection.
Yeah.
Kind of increases the
a lot of scientific.
Look up Wim
there.
Hof. He's got it sorted. So cold showers. I try and do 2 to 3 strength sessions per week.
Great.
Just a bit of physical fitness.
Nice.
Maybe 1 to 2 cardio sessions a week.
Beautiful.
Just that down at the gym,
Nice.
kicking pads or doing a bit of grappling with my team.
Yeah.
I try and prioritize time with my wife at least once a week. We go on a date night.
Nice.
Where we
That's important, huh?
Man, it's massive.
Yeah.
We drop. I have a 4-year-old. I drop him off to my mum.
Yeah.
That's a non-negotiable. It's like, Mum, Tuesday is your day, Monday night's your night. Me and my wife, we need to go out on a date.
Actually, Rod, I need to start doing that myself.
You know, well, we need the time. Well, I bet as a
I've
young
been with
fella,
my wife over 30 years, and she's had enough of me, man. I'm only joking.
You know, so just that time with my wife.
Yes.
I also try and get out at least once a month to do either hunting, fishing, or diving.
Oh, can I come?
You're more than welcome to come.
I'm only joking.
You're more than welcome. You know, that's where I just came back from.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Beautiful.
So in the summertime, I like diving. In the wintertime, we do a bit of hunting.
Unreal.
Yeah. And just sleep, prioritize sleep at the moment.
Yeah.
Trying to get to bed where I can try and I need minimum 7 hours.
No, nice.
So I try and hit that 7 hours, 6 to 7, they reckon. So like 10:30, I try and cut it off.
Yeah.
And less time on the phone at night. So
scrolling.
Try and 9 p.m. Try and put it down.
Well done.
Try and convince my wife that
You're
as well.
You're all over it. You're all over.
I got a few. I'm a bit of an advocate for self-improvement and self-investment as you are.
Yeah.
And you're trying to do on a bigger scale, which that's why we're vibing in it, and I'm loving it. But there's a couple of things that I like to do.
Yeah.
And at the same time, like you, try and help others with those improvements as well.
Yeah, nice.
You know, that kind of helps me fill my cup,
Rod,
helping people.
Rod, I love everything you're saying, but can I ask you one last thing? I know that you're interviewing me, but I want to ask, what's your, because you're a tradesperson yourself, aren't you?
Yep.
Yeah. What's your number one advice to construction people from your experience that can help them improve their mental fitness, you know, from the different
Yeah.
experiences you've had?
For me, I used to work 7 a.m. to 5:30 p.m., 10-hour days.
Big
It
day,
was,
man.
It was,
Yeah.
to be honest, in the winter time, it was dark till dark. I wouldn't have any daylight to myself,
Damn.
in theory.
Yeah.
I feel that's too much.
Yeah.
So I really felt reducing those hours and spending some time for yourself is massive. I got into fighting and mixed martial arts.
Right.
And I started, 10-hour days was too long. So reducing 10-hour days to standard maybe an 8-hour day, assigning time for yourself and your family, like you mentioned earlier. And one of the other big ones, which we haven't spoke about, which I was going to ask you about, was getting your partner, your wife, your husband, your family on board as support.
Nice.
So if you're going out and working a 8-hour to 10-hour day and you're coming home and your wife is upset for some reason to see you, or she's not greeting you at the door, she's not, being nice about seeing you, it kind of puts you off wanting to come home. You might spend a bit more time in your car. You might want to go out and drink with the boys, or go and, do whatever.
Yeah.
But if you got someone at home, if your relationship at home is good, and your wife knows that you need to work to do this and that, and she's in support and you're in support of her, and you're a team as opposed to individuals, it makes life so much easier. She's happier, and in turn your mental health is better. So I'm fortunate to have a loving wife and a supportive family. My mum and dad and my sons and daughter, they're all supportive of my mahi, and in turn I'm supportive of them.
Yeah, beautiful.
So and that makes life so much easier.
Yeah,
I
yeah,
hear
yeah,
of stories of guys and girls complaining about their partners, they don't support me this, and it just makes it so much harder.
Yeah.
For me, time for yourself and trying to have strong relationships at home with your partner.
If you don't have those, I guess the good thing about that is that if you're investing in the relationship as well, which you said that you do, like you have those date nights, that's the way you can improve a relationship that maybe not the best it could be. Is whatever you invest in, you generally improve, right?
Definitely.
So that could be, if someone's listening to this and they think, well, shit, I don't have that person when I get home, then that person's maybe a bit negative. Then if they were to ask themselves, am I investing in that relationship? And if they think if it's an honest question to themselves with an honest answer, they may find themselves, no, I don't. So maybe that's something they need to invest in, is their relationship, having those date nights, right?
Yeah,
I think that's really important.
And I think, like you said earlier, ultimately you're in charge of who you have around you.
Yeah.
Ultimately, like, if you have someone around you that's probably not good for your mental health, like maybe you should consider not being around them as much.
Yeah.
Whether it be a angry colleague or a client that's doing your head in.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then having the tools to even breathing. So a lot of the times people get frustrated, and I found that with Wim Hof and through other mechanisms, breath work and breathing, like one deep breath in and a long breath out.
Yeah. How does that help you? How does that help people, that method? What's it do?
That's scientifically proven to reduce stress levels instantly.
Beautiful.
Okay.
Yeah.
The three of those, and then you've just changed your state from fight or flight to rest and digest and
Unreal.
just relax. So I've
Fantastic.
had to do that a few times in the last month.
Yeah.
But
yeah.
But it means I can assess the situation as opposed to react.
Beautiful.
The boys in fighting, we use the term respond instead of react. Okay?
Yeah, nice.
So,
You can apply that to everything you do in life, can't you?
Big time.
That response and react, because our natural I guess reaction is to react, isn't it?
Yeah.
But then it's great to understand that by slowing down, assessing the situation, and then responding, then you can potentially minimize conflict, because a lot of conflict comes from reacting very quick.
Big time.
Yeah, but then that takes a bit of practice, doesn't it? Becoming quite
Definitely.
disciplined with that. Yeah.
Just one quick fire here, Raf.
Mm-hmm.
What's a common misconception about you?
About me personally,
About you personally? A common misconception.
a common misconception.
I can't imagine any bad ones, but
So something that I know that people think about me, but it's not. But then it's not accurate. Is that what you mean?
yes.
Let me see.
That's a hard one, eh?
Yeah,
it's like,
yeah,
how do you
yeah.
know what others think of you?
Yeah. Well, I guess a common misconception, what you said, for me is that I think it's an important one, and it applies to everyone. Is don't underestimate yourself. I've gone into this pathway of trying to support people to make them more confident with their mental health and to improve without any real background in it. I'm not a psychologist or a counsellor.
I love it.
And then so a lot of the time when I would speak and then do presentations, I would walk away and I would think, I wonder if that resonated with anyone. And then I would think to myself, I'm not an expert, so probably not. I hope so. However, I have, in this journey of what I'm doing, had so much people that have come back to me
Experience.
that have said, hey, that really helped. And I thought about that. And I thought to myself, how am I going to invest in myself? And then I realized that I did have some good things, but I can work on it. And then even being here today with the amazing people at Tradies, I'm here as a result of a talk that I've done earlier, a podcast that I've done earlier. And then so a common misconception for myself is don't underestimate yourself. Because I often think that what I'm doing, I'm sort of hopeful that it's resonating, but then there's a part of me that's thinking, oh, maybe it isn't, and then I'm sort of underestimating myself. But I'm guessing that negative self-talk is prevalent amongst everyone, that they sort of feeling they're not making an impact in something they may be passionate about. And my message to people today is don't underestimate what you're passionate about and then your contribution towards something. Because people, if you're passionate and if you're actually putting time into trying to make some change, some positive change, it's actually getting noticed.
Big time.
So I guess that the message is to myself. I got to think, no, I'm not an expert, but I am passionate about it, and I am getting good feedback. So the message is getting out there. And then I'm thinking to everyone listening in today is, hey, don't underestimate what you feel your contribution is towards something that you're passionate about. Keep doing it. Keep talking about it, and you'll find that it will get noticed, and people are noticing, and it will help people. So my message. It's a quick fire one, and I'm rambling on. My quite simply, don't underestimate yourself.
Excellent. I love it.
Positive self-talk.
If people are interested, where can they find a bit more info on Live Well, Build Well?
Great. So all of our information's on our website. So livewellbuildwell.co.nz, or sorry, maybe that's .com. Anyway, so look, I'll find out what it is, and then I'll make sure we put it in a link. Right? All the information's there. Then through listening to our tradies talk, I think that's a good start. Spend some time, just having a listening to guys like Richie, right?
Excellent.
So you can find us on Instagram, also on YouTube, and also on Facebook. Connect with us socially, and we're not going to try to bombard you with quirky, little gimmicky, this and that. We're trying to share authentic stories from authentic builders, okay? And another one, if you'd like to do an interview with me, hey, reach out. If you're not nearby, we can do it through Zoom. And you're doing some great things that you want to share with the community, the construction community, reach out. So those are some things that where you can get some extra information. I'll keep you posted, the Tradio, with the Site Safe partnership with our mental fitness module that's freely available. There's lots of information that you can access freely on improving mental health through that. And then look, if you'd like me to come and do a talk I do a lot of toolbox talks, which are health and safety related. I go on site, I talk to the team. Invite me to lead a toolbox talk, and then look, if you're in Auckland, I'll definitely be there. If you're out of town, then I'm all around the country, and I can at one point when I come to Christchurch, Wellington, or one of the other small towns, I can come and lead a talk for you as well.
Amazing.
And if you want to find out more, you'll find my email in the website, and also just reach out, and I'll speak to you one-on-one. Yeah.
Man, we've covered a lot. We've covered a lot of points, solutions, problems. But just to wrap up, is there any last words for any construction worker, tradie, or business that might be struggling with mental health?
Yeah, nice one. I guess my takeaway message for people to consider is that if you think about people in trades and people that run in businesses, they're experts in many areas. Maybe they're an expert in accounts and finance. They're running their business very successfully financially. Maybe they're managing people and they do that at a high level. Maybe they're they're very talented and skilled in their particular trade as a builder, a sparky, or a plumber, or what have you, right? My message to people today is to become an expert, not only in these great things that you're already doing, become an expert in yourself. Becoming an expert in understanding what it is that you need to do on a day-to-day basis, on a weekly basis, on a monthly basis, that's going to support you with your mental fitness. Become an expert in yourself. If you, like I used the car before, the dashboard as an example, it's got all these warning lights. If you've got, if there's an oil, could you imagine if you had one of those, like a dashboard where there was like flickering, like warning signals, like, oh, you need to fill up your oil. If you can think about, any warning signs that you have, fatigue, feeling exhausted, feeling that you're losing your temper very quickly.
Body knows it.
That's a sign. If you're feeling like, just on the whole, not how you want to feel, use these signs to sort of understanding that there needs to be some improvement. My final message to people is to bring some awareness of how you're tracking, and to understand that making a positive move forward is not about making a massive leap. It's about little day-to-day steps, and most importantly, understanding what that unique combination of activities that you need for yourself. It's not a one-fit-all solution. It's a very unique, everyone has their needs that are unique to themselves, and it's really about understanding what you need to sort of move yourself forward. So that's my message, is get to know yourself, become an expert in yourself, take charge of your health. Make your health your number one priority. Don't make it your number two or your number three. If you're feeling well, if you're feeling great, if you're sort of navigating challenges with confidence, everyone around you is going to benefit from that. You're going to be, I'll go back to our motto, you can be your best self. What do you think?
I love it.
I'll show you my t-shirt once it comes out. It's right down the back, and someone said to me, oh, it's too big and it's going to look weird. I go, yeah, but I want to make sure that people understand that. It's not be your best self for someone else.
No.
Be your best self for yourself.
For yourself.
Yeah, that's it. That's my final message.
Excellent. I think that's us, Ruff. I think we've covered a whole lot of points in this chat, and I'm looking forward to listeing back.
Yeah.
So thanks for jumping on the show, on Tradio with us.
Yeah, unreal. Big a shout out to Tradio. Oh yeah. I wish you guys all the success that you deserve, and I think that your initiative of providing good content for tradespeople to improve their lives, what a tremendous, and giving programs like the Live Well, Build Well program the platform to be able to contribute ideas. I'm very grateful for that. Thank you so much, and I wish you all the best for your amazing program, and I hope you go on to be the number one podcast channel for construction workers, and I'm going to be rooting for you. I want to hear about all your success. Go Tradio.
Awesome. Thanks heaps, Ruff. Make sure, guys, like, share, subscribe. Tune in for this ep or the next ep, just to catch up on mental health on the construction site and what we're on about. And also take time to look after yourself, for your own mental health, for your own mental fitness. Prioritize yourself, self-investment, just what Ruff was talking about. You are responsible for yourself and your own health, ultimately. Okay, that's us.